Hello to all the pupils of my bilingual history course in grade 8. Today I would like to talk with you about the worksheets that I distributed via email, which dealt with motives for imperialism. So let's start. So the material that I distributed is entitled "Why Should Britain Take Colonies?" and you have got 5 different texts which each give one motive why people or why Britain should take colonies. And it's about an island chain, the New Hebrides. And in the first part A, John Peyton talks about Christian faith, and he first says that he thinks Britain should take these island groups as a colony because they have already Christianized many people living there. He talks about missionaries. You find that word in the 3rd line of the 2nd paragraph. And they have already done a good job. They have translated the Bible, they have taught the Bible to the people living there. So one of our notes could be to spread Christian faith. And when he goes on, he talks about murders. So people who have been Christianized were murdered by what he calls savages, so non-Christian people. And therefore we take over to protect the missionaries as a second point, because the people who transmit this Christian faith should be, of course, protected and should not be murdered. Let's come to text part B. This clearly talks about money, so it's economic motives for imperialism. In the beginning, so this is entitled here with point 4, it says that there has already been used a lot of money and a lot of people on these islands, and that it wouldn't be sensible to let any other nation take advantage of this. So they have already used a lot of money and now they want to profit from this. Point 5 talks about import and export, so about trade. This colony already trades with Australia, Sydney and Melbourne, and with other British colonies. So all the import and export are under British control. And the 3rd paragraph, entitled here number 6, talks about raw materials, says that these islands are very rich in soil, so you can harvest many things: corn, cotton, coffee, sugarcane is mentioned, and this means they grow these fruit there and export them to Britain, or Britain imports them from the colonies. And of course they export their manufactured material to the colony. So it all deals with money, it deals with economic motives. So text part C, still from this letter by John Peyton, talks about politics. First of all, he says in his first point that Britain has already taken some colonies near the Hebrides Islands, and so it would be a nice strategic idea to take over these islands too. And he also says that the people who live there, they long for British protection, so they want British protection, and they fear, this is line 9, they are afraid of the French. So he thinks that rather the British than the French should take these islands as a colony. we have got here this motive or this idea of competition between Britain and France in taking colonies. He repeats this point in point 3 with the British protection, and in point 7 he takes up another point, that these islands are a strategic point. So he talks about supply of fresh water, and he says if they didn't have this colony, it would be dangerous for them in times of war. So political motives for taking a colony, protection of the people who live there, strategic, that means where does the colony lie and is it good in times of war, and this idea of competition with the French, who takes over a colony first. Text D, taken from another source, talks about ideological motives. What is an ideology? It's a system of ideas and ideals, and this forms the basis of political theory. In this case, the basis for the idea of taking colonies. And this text here clearly starts on the idea that the Europeans are superior to the people living in Africa, and he says that already in this second line. The skill of the European in medicine asserts its superiority over the crude methods of the medicine man. And when he talks about the natives, he talks about savages, wilde, and he says the Europeans teach the savages and they become their advisor and referee. And so his motive for taking a colony is they can spread their knowledge, their science to these primitive men, these savages. In the third paragraph he talks about instruction, education, that he thinks it's more useful to teach children than to teach adults, because they already have their ideas in their heads. And the last part, part F, finally. I don't know why there isn't any part E, but we just take it as it is. Deals with exploratory motives. So the whole page talks about Dr. Livingstone, and he was British and spent many years in Africa. You see from the map, which is on top of the page, that he traveled enormously in Africa. And the text also says that he was the first who managed to make a journey across Central and Southern Africa. And from the text you could see that he wanted to open new paths with reference to commerce, so this is another word for trade, with religion and also civilization. And he clearly wanted to discover the unknown. He wanted to explore parts of Africa that no European had been to before. And he was also in search of adventures. So that was my contribution for today. I'm going to send you 2 other worksheets which will have a closer look at economic and political motives. And I hope that we're going to meet again very soon in school and that you will return all in good health. Bye bye.